Hello, this is Claus Jensen presenting one more game from the Russia-China match. This game was played yesterday on the 6th of July, which happens to be my birthday, and I think this miniature was a nice little present for me. And just like the game I analyzed a few days ago from this match, Vitiugov was the Russian player involved here. We saw how he won a King's Indian game against Deng Liren of China. But in this game, Yu from China is white and Vitiugov is black. And we have a French defense, 1 e4, e6, d4, d5, and knight c3, bishop b4, we have the Vitiugov, which is very theoretical and very sharp. a3, bishop takes, b takes, d takes, queen g4, knight f6, queen takes g7, rook g8, queen h6, knight b d7. And last year, Andrei Aikin played knight e2 here against Vitiugov, and Vitiugov later won the game, which continued c5, a4, queen c7, d takes, and queen d2. But in this game, Yu didn't play knight e2 as Andrei Aikin did. He played knight h3 instead, which has also been played before. And then came c5 from Vitiugov, and with a4, Yu plays the same idea as Andrei Aikin did, but combined with knight h3 on the previous move, we have reached a new position. And now queen c7 would be met by bishop f4, I believe, and perhaps here an idea was e5 instead, attacking the d4 pawn twice, and preventing white from playing bishop f4. And also opening up for the light squared bishop, so perhaps e5 was an idea. But Vitiugov played c takes d4, and I think it looks a little strange to undouble the white pawns. But now Vitiugov can play queen c7 with tempo because he attacks the c2 pawn, and Yu has to play queen d2. And it is a very interesting position here, where black has to decide how to develop his pieces now. And perhaps the e5 idea is still possible. I'm not quite sure, but it looks as an interesting option. But Vitiugov played b6 here, and then came rook a3 from Yu. And if now bishop b7, then rook c3 is a little annoying for black. So Vitiugov decided knight d5, because now rook c3 is not possible. And if c4 here, then at least the c file is closed from attacks on the queen. So knight d5 here. And now Yu plays a very interesting idea. He plays rook g3, exchanging black's active rook and opening up the h file. And black is having a slightly unpleasant position now, because the opening of the h file makes the h pawn very weak for black, and he's still not developed. Neither is white, of course, but after the opening of the h file, the rook no longer needs to improve its position, so white is slightly ahead in development still, I would say. Knight 7 to f6, c4, and now knight e7, knight g5, h5, queen b2 is strong for white. d5 is a threat now, with attack on the knight on f6 and opening the diagonal for the queen all the way down to h8. So instead, Vitiugov played a tricky move. He played e3 here. And what he was hoping for was probably f takes e3, because then knight e4. And if now queen b2, then all of a sudden black is having a good position. So queen b2 would not work in this position. He would have to play queen c2, but then knight takes g3, queen takes, knight takes h1, and then white would have to settle for a draw after a repetition here. So that was what Vitiugov was hoping for, but Yu played a much stronger move than taking on e3. He played queen b2 here. And now a possibility was e takes f2, but knight takes, knight e7, bishop f4, queen d7 and d5 is a strong idea for white. And So therefore, Vitiugov tried knight e7 instead. Bishop takes e3, and Yu has now won a pawn, and Vitiugov has absolutely no compensation. He plays bishop a6 here, bishop f4, queen d7, d5, attacking the knight on f6. And if knight e to g8, then bishop g5, and if knight e4, then queen g7 is very strong. Black cannot castle because the bishop is on g5. In the game came knight f to g8 instead, and then came knight g5. Attack on the pawn on h7, e takes d5, and rook takes h7. And thanks to the idea of opening the h-file, the rook is now able to participate in the attack. Bishop takes c4 from Vitiugov, knight takes f7, queen e6 check, bishop e5, and a line like bishop takes f1 here, king takes, queen g6, knight d6 check, king d7, rook g7, queen d3 check would have offered a little more resistance, but white should still be winning. In the game, Vitiugov didn't take on f1, he played knight f6 instead. Then came knight d6 check, king d7, bishop takes c4, knight takes h7, bishop b5 check, knight to c6, exchange here, and then the queen c2 check, which wins the knight on the next move and gives black unsolvable problems with the king. So in this position, Vitiugov on move 29 resigned, and in view of the force king d7, then queen takes h7, king c6, queen b7 check, king c5. And although there are a lot of possible lines here, Vitiugov had no doubt that white is clearly winning here. Queen c7 check, queen c3 check, and then f4. And this was an impressive win for Yu, but I don't think Vitiugov played up to his best. So I still hope you enjoyed this second miniature from the Russia-China match, and this time with Vitiugov on the receiving end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on my chess website at klausjensen.com. Bye bye for now.